Baker Dill lives on a small, sun-bleached tropical island that feels cut off from the rest of the world, almost too still, too contained, as if reality ends at the waterline. He spends his days aboard his fishing boat, chasing a massive tuna he calls justice. The hunt becomes an obsession, the kind that eats at a man's sense of purpose. Nights are spent drinking, brooding, keeping everyone at arm's length except for the occasional visits from Constance, who tries to pull him into a more grounded life. There's a heaviness to Baker, a sense that he's running from something, or perhaps from himself. The island feels both comforting and suffocating, like a routine he can't escape. Everything shifts when a woman from Baker's past steps onto the island, Karen, his ex-wife. She arrives with a quiet urgency, pale with fear beneath her elegance. The moment Baker sees her, the world around him seems to tighten, like a knot pulling taut. She brings with her the presence of someone he hasn't seen in years, their son, Patrick, a boy who spends every hour alone in his room, escaping into his computer. Karen's visit carries a terrible request. She is trapped in a violent marriage, living with a man whose cruelty has eaten through every corner of her life. She asks Baker for something unthinkable, to take her husband out to sea and ensure he never returns. The moral lines blur, twisting with the complicated history between them and the love they share for their son. As Baker wrestles with the choice, strange cracks appear in the fabric of the island. Events feel rehearsed, the people too scripted, their routines repeating with mechanical rhythm. A man in a suit begins following Baker, always a step too late, always just missing him. The island's economy, its conversations, even the weather, all carry an uncanny predictability. Baker senses a separation between the world he moves through and some unseen hand shaping it. The hunt for the giant tuna becomes more symbolic, almost ritualistic, as if catching the fish will unlock something deeper or sever the chains binding him to this place. Karen's husband, Frank, arrives on the island with the arrogance of a man who has never faced consequences. He drinks heavily, flaunts his wealth, and taunts everyone around him, convinced no one can touch him. His presence infects the island with attention that wasn't there before, a reminder of the danger Karen described. Baker reluctantly prepares to carry out her request. He wrestles with the morality of it, with the image of his son suffering alone, and with the eerie sense that the island itself is pushing him toward this path. The suited man finally reaches Baker and reveals something that fractures everything. The island, the people, the routines, none of it is real. Everything is part of a program, a digital world created by Patrick, Baker's son. Baker isn't living a normal life. He's living inside Patrick's computer simulation, a place the boy built to reconnect with a father he lost long ago. The island is Patrick's way of imagining his dad, giving him purpose, giving him a chance to do the thing Patrick cannot do in the real world, save his mother. The realization tears through Baker. He's suddenly aware of what he truly is, not a fisherman on a remote island, but a memory rendered in code, driven by a boy's grief. Once the illusion is exposed, Baker faces a different kind of choice. He can break the rules of the simulation. He can defy the script, rewrite his existence, and carry out the justice Patrick desperately wishes for. The characters around him begin behaving strangely, glitching, resisting. The ocean feels thicker, the air feels programmed. Baker pushes forward anyway, guided not by the simulation, but by the love he once had for his child. Real or digital, it doesn't matter anymore. On the open water, the ocean becomes eerily calm. Frank is too drunk to sense the danger, too arrogant to consider it. Baker takes him out deeper and deeper, where the world feels like it's made of pixels and silence. Justice, the massive tuna, finally rises from the deep, as if summoned not by nature, but by resolve. In a symbolic moment orchestrated by the simulation and Baker himself, Frank meets the fate Karen begged for. The island resets, the routines shift, but Baker feels his world unraveling. Outside the simulation, Patrick reaches a breaking point. Years of abuse, isolation, and trauma push him to act. He finally stands up to his stepfather in reality, something the digital world has been preparing him to do. What happens is swift, tragic, and inevitable. The simulation, however, begins to change. Patrick programs a final update to meet his father face to face, even if only through screens and code. In the digital world, Baker walks through the marketplace as everything shifts and reformats. Patrick appears not as the quiet, unseen programmer controlling the island, but as a young boy finally allowed to meet the father he idealized. The film ends not with triumph, but a strange, haunting peace. Father and son reunited in the only world where they can be together.